Hi, this is Cindy Abbott Letro for Behind the Camera, and it is such a pleasure today because we're going to talk with Chris Bongirne, who was here for, it seemed like a very long time, and he executive produced Marshall. And Marshall, before we started taping, you said it really is almost, it's like a postcard or a love letter in a way to Buffalo, because you certainly found some of the most iconic and beautiful scenes in it.
Absolutely. I mean, it was the attraction. You know what I mean? When I got here, a couple months earlier, when we started filming, actually about 6 months earlier, when I was looking around, I was like, wow, we could use this, we could use this, we could, this is a courthouse, we'll use the city hall for these sequences, and it actually fell into my head that way.
Well, so, how did you hear about Buffalo? I mean, what was it that brought you here? Because I'm sure that there are other cities that have courthouses that aren't being used, or, things that are mothballed, and that they probably were vying at the same time for you to go there.
To be honest with you, I scouted all of those places.
So I'm not right.
I scouted Cleveland, I scouted Cincinnati, I scouted Pittsburgh, a little bit in Philadelphia, and also around the New York area, because the actual story took place in Bridgeport and Greenwich, Connecticut. So
right.
It had to be kind of the East Coast, older feel. And so when I went to a lot of those other places, they had little pieces of it, but they didn't have it, what I didn't think was all. The challenge is that there hadn't been a production of this size in Buffalo before. So that was the challenge, and that was kind of the leap of faith that we made. So once the look was established.
When you say that, a production of this size, because we have always seemed to attract like smaller ones. Mm-hmm. Once in a while we get like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is a biggie, but this was what
just the action sequences
yes.
in that movie. So.
But what was the budget size on this?
We did about $12 million, and it was all shot here. And
that's everything?
That's everything except the editing.
Okay.
Maybe the music and stuff. We did that afterwards. But pretty much, let's say $11 million was spent here.
This is a film that talks about, that's a very significant period in Thurgood Marshall's life. Mm-hmm. Great jurist, had an incredible history. What attracted you to this project?
It's, when I read the script, Paula Wagner had developed it. Because she went to college with the other character in the movie, Sam Friedman.
Wow.
His daughter.
Okay.
And so she had approached her about making a film about the relationship between the two of them. Because
it is a wonderful relation, and just the idea that you have this incredible man sitting second chair during a time, my husband's an attorney, so this was already, I was interested in this, but that at a time when it was a very difficult time in race relations in our country.
Yeah. And so when that story was brought to Paula, she developed it into a script, and then I'd found some investors and so she gave it to me. She said, well, maybe your investors would like something like this. And I just loved the script. You could tell Thurgood Marshall's story from many things, let's say Brown versus the Board of Education or some of the more famous things. But I thought that was the beauty of the script, is because it was, at the time, a very sensational case, but pretty much forgotten. So nobody really knew what the outcome would be.
How do you cast something like this? Because you certainly hit, a home run when you got Chadwick Bosemen, and then you got Kate Hudson. I mean, the actors in this, stellar, just stellar. And of course, for Chadwick, this was released, and then he goes on, and he's now the superstar of the world, if not the superhero of the world.
It was a funny time in Chadwick's life and career. I think he had played a lot of historical characters, whether that's Jackie Robinson,
James Brown, too.
James Brown, right? Thank you. And so he had played those people. So I think, to be honest with you, this was probably going to be the last historical character he was going to play for a little while. So he attached himself. He had been attached to the project for about 2 years. So he was always there with us. And then the other folks, I have to say, they all responded to the script. They all just went, wow, we're in. We didn't have any problem at all. James Cromwell said the same thing. Dan Stevens, like I said, Kate Hudson. Josh Gad came on. we just thought he was a wonderful pairing, his energy with Chadwick, who's so serious and a little sly.
Yeah.
And Josh has got that, he can play drama very well, but he always got that little funny little thing in the back of his head. So he played a nice, we thought it was a wonderful pairing.
So tell me about getting the courthouse, because that really singularly, if you didn't have that, that would have been tough to do the rest of it. I think you had to have that, and then the rest of it was important, but not as important as that.
It's so true. I mean, I'd say 45 minutes of the film, 45 pages, 45 minutes of the film was in the courtroom or somewhere around the court, you know, judges' chambers, hallways, etc. So with that in mind, I knew I had to find something perfect. If I didn't, I'd have to build it, which gets expensive.
Sure.
Because it's a big room, it's lots of people. And so those are my two options. And so when I found it here and was able to make a very equitable deal with the General Services Administration, who has the building, they were completely into it because they have the Thurgood Marshall Courthouse down in New York City. So they were like, wow, you're making that movie. We're in. We will help you every which way we can. So we had a little bit of, you know, I had to speak to Senator Schumer's office, and the New York State Film Commission helped. Everybody helped a little bit to make it work. And so, but once I found it, I don't think we did anything to it. I think we put some stuff up on the walls, some murals. But besides that, it's exactly the way it was.
Well, is it correct, or is this one of those legends, urban legends? I heard that when you walked in, that it was almost as if people had been working there the day before.
100%.
That there were like yellow legal pads, you know, on the table. I mean, that there were things that it was as if everybody said, time out, you're going someplace else. And
they had a chalkboard from 1930 with the original pointer, with the rubber tip. I don't know, remember those from parochial school. That was still there. And I was just kind of going, for the attorneys to be able to say that was
chills.
That
That's
was what
the kind of
passed as
thing.
visual aids back then.
Yeah.
So they'd be able to do this and this to this chalkboard. It was there. It was on rollers, and I went, oh my God, this is crazy.
well, we're almost out of time. I just wondered, when you think back of that whole experience, is there something that stands out to you about, you know, what was like perfect or quirky, or, you know, what this experience, quintessential of being in Buffalo and shooting this film?
I have to say, I mean, like you said, it was the perfect storm of finding the right location in the place that I could shoot everything else in. And with the help of the Film Commission, I mean, they got, let's say, here's a good example. I was having a problem finding a kitchen, you know, like a house with a kitchen that was still period. They got on the radio, put out the word, and within a day, I had 3 choices, and we actually shot in one of them. It was an elderly woman who had just passed away, and her family had taken, you know, ownership of the house, and they were going to renovate it, and we told them stop. So that kind of stuff. So basically, the Film Commission and the actual city itself having a look that could be that still resembles 1940. Those were the 2 things that completely sold us here.
And the magic of being in the right place at the right time when all of this takes place. That's what you love about the movies.
Completely.
Chris Bongirne, thank you for being with us. This isn't the last you'll be seeing of him in Buffalo, though, because we have more stories to tell about other projects. So we'll see you next time on Behind the Camera.